Alright, what I have here is the practice SMD soldering board, but instead of soldering circuits to this, we're going to use it to practice pre-tinning these pads in preparation for soldering wires to them. Now this is a pretty clean board. Um, it's brand new out of package, so there's no oxidation on these pads. Otherwise, if it was one of my older boards, I'd probably have to use something like this flux onto the pads first to clean them to allow the solder to adhere. But these should be pretty good, pretty easy. Now, these small pads, when soldering, we take the iron, nice, very clean tip, and then we apply the iron to one of the pads, one side of one of the pads, and to start with we'll use one of the smaller pad, or the larger pads here. This one right here. So apply heat to one end of the pad, and as it heats up the pad, we apply the solder to the other end, and then we release the solder and then release the heat, and this allows for a nice ball to form onto this pad. Keep the tip clean. Put it into the our little gold sponge here, and come back and we do the other side. Apply heat first, and then when it heats up the pad, apply the solder to the pad. It will flow to the iron, remove the solder, remove the iron, and then that leaves us again with a nice ball. Let me see if I can bring this up, maybe zoom in a bit. But there. See, there's a nice shiny ball that is formed onto the pad. There we go. So we keep doing that as to practice on each one of these. We'll try another pad. And I'm just going to turn this so I have some good access. Do the left one here. Apply the heat. Introduce the solder, remove heat. Ball has formed. Clean the tip. And we keep doing this process over and over. Apply heat, apply the solder, remove heat, or remove solder first, remove heat, and then we have our little ball. Again, apply heat, introduce solder, remove heat, ball stays. And then as it cools, then the ball will become shiny. You rub your fingers over it, and you'll definitely feel the texture of the bumps on the board. So if you practice this over and over, you'll get more proficient. Now there are smaller pads on this practice board. So again, now this tip here. It's not a needle point tip. It's more like a small screwdriver. The reason I like it is because there's more surface area at the tip to provide more heat. But it still works with even these smaller ones. Apply heat, introduce the solder, remove the heat, and a very small ball is formed on that pad. And we can feed more solder onto it. Apply heat, apply the solder, remove, and that time I got a ball on each of the pads. That's okay. There's no short. There we go. Easy as that. So we get focus. you go. You can feel the balls of solder on each pad. Now, if it's a larger pad, like this one here, or this one over here, that entire surface will be covered in solder. So we can see that out, see how that works. Clean tip. We'll do the square over here. Apply the heat. Introduce the solder. Little flow to the iron. Remove the solder, remove the heat. Now that entire pad is filled. Nice, shiny solder. Same thing over here. Apply the heat to the circle. Bring the solder into it. Let it push down, let it flow. Remove the solder, remove the heat. And again, take a look. See what it looks like. I can zoom in. And there we go. This entire pad is covered with one solder ball, and this pad is filled too, almost like a square with a little bump in the middle. Again, they're all nice and shiny. And that is how we're going to practice soldering to these practice boards. Just keep at it until you're comfortable. Apply heat, introduce the solder, press the solder, solder flows to the iron, it creates a ball on the surface of the pad, release and remove the solder, and then remove the heat. As you get more proficient at it, it will be a much quicker and easier way to apply heat, apply solder, both. And the entire row is done. Whoops, missed one. There. But make sure you keep cleaning the tip. Keep it very clean. When you're done soldering, the tip is clean. Apply solder to the tip. Put the tip away. And then turn it off. And then we're ready to go on to the next section.